Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Shahid and this is Guest Hour. Today we have the pleasure of hosting Ms. Syeda Fatima Gilani. She's the founder and CEO of Read Pakistan, advocate Etsy core and IC specialist, as well as a partner in her own legal firm, Trek Law. She's an influential linguist, an active lawyer, an avid book reader, and passionate about literature. It's an absolute honor to have you. You're so accomplished and you have such a colorful career to boast. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself today and the topic that you spoke on?
Okay, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me in, Fatima, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Yes, Read Pakistan. So I'll just give a general, brief how we started. So about 10 years back, when I initiated it in my mind, my intention was actually just to give back to community. And that's exactly how it has, it has proliferated, it has come to me. So for about 2 years, I was making research in different genres and areas, and I was just making sure what was the actual intention and actual intuition that was actually coming to me.
So the vision that you wanted behind Read Pakistan.
Yeah, so it was basically Ikra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq, which is
reading the name of thy Lord who created.
Yes, so reading is the actual motivation behind it, and up till now, as we speak today, so Read Pakistan has a few feathers in the cap, and I would like to tell a few accomplishments that we have up till now. One of them is the 53 libraries that we have had the opportunity to make.
That is staggering.
Yes, thank you very much. So in the rural areas, we have about 53 libraries. We do have other projects, including the membership campaign.
I see.
Which has been just launched recently, very recently, I would rather say, because it's just been a few days. And we would like the 27 universities who have formally signed MOUs with us, that they should all become a part of the membership campaign as well. So basically there are a lot of perks to it, and we do give out PDF versions of books, and we make sure that in our National Readers Conference, which is actually that all the universities would be engaged in about reading 50 books a year.
50 books
and
a year.
Yes, so once the universities and the students of the universities, they're engaged in reading those books, what happens is that we do acknowledge them through NRC, the National Readers Conference.
I see.
And yes, and so this is the general, I would rather say that so in a gist, what we are doing is we're trying to instigate the reading habit in the community of Pakistan.
So you began with rural areas and you slowly moved to the urban areas and universities. So was the priority always to bring literacy and education to the rural areas of Pakistan specifically?
No.
Okay.
No. So basically, it was just the reading habit that I wanted people, because now as I refer back to the research that I basically felt intrigued by, was by Gallup and Gilani, and even though later I actually got acquainted with it, but yet I would refer to that it actually states it's a published research, so you can refer back to it. And when we look at that, it only states that 0.009% of the total population of Pakistan actually are readers. So now the unfortunate part is that not even 1% of the total community, which actually shows that if I ask you how many books you read a year, not just you, generally if I ask any Pakistani, it would be not even one book a year.
Yeah.
So this
also
is
tackles
a dilemma.
accessibility, which is why it's crucial that you constructed these libraries. So that is a very commendable achievement.
Thank you so very much for that. So in the rural areas, we do have that problem, but when it comes to accessibility to books, and we talk about the urban areas, unfortunately, it's even more staggering. It's even more, devastating.
I think we'd agree that we don't have a lot of public libraries.
Yes, we don't, but we are far better than the rural areas. And so when we speak of the urban areas, the actual problem that I have practically faced in the last decade is not that of, the libraries or the books availability or the PDF versions not being accessible. Rather, the problem that I have genuinely seen is the digitalization, which has actually dragged the students.
It's moved us a few years back instead of progress, what you would think, in electronic media would push us forward. But because there's no access to that in these areas, it's just taking us back.
Yes.
I see.
So, yes. So these these, like you've said, these are two different problems altogether. And that was the reason why, I thought that when I'm working with the cities, my approach is completely different. What I do is that I instigate the reading habit, share our modules with them, how to develop the toolkits. And so we've researched a lot on that, 70 plus researchers internationally that we've checked down, and so other things as well, that the research papers, the books, how
I was going to pose a question where
Yes,
I was
please.
going to ask you how do you feel about the importance of the written word beyond just novels and books? And you've already emphasized on that you admire publications, whether those are in journals or newspapers. And do you feel that that is important to stay in touch with these
Of course, yes,
for
definitely.
all age groups,
Yes,
for not
yes.
just researchers in their field?
Of course, of course. See, the authenticity would never come in if you haven't really studied, and if you don't have the right kind of backup, the knowledge backup,
You
and
don't
the
have the
knowledge
facts and
bank.
stats to back you, for
So
sure.
if I say something just out of the blue, that would be okay. If somebody can buy it, it would be nice. But I think generally it wouldn't really be acceptable for the logical mind, and to perceive it in the right context, you need to have the right kind of commendable research work that has been done. Unfortunately, even if the research is being done in Pakistan, it is not being published in the right genres.
Definitely.
And so this is a big lag that we face as well. So when even we have to go back to researchers, as far as reading is concerned, readers are concerned, we do feel that scarcity over there. We do feel that there is this gap that we need to fill in. And all of this would only come in if you are a better reader. So
For
at
sure.
the end of the day, if you have read enough, only then you would be able to, if I put it in a negative way, vomit out the right kind of knowledge. And that is really, really
You'd have
important.
the lexicon that you need to be able to formulate the words that you wish
Of
to
course.
convey. And would you ever pursue becoming an author yourself, or do you prefer the role of the analyst or the linguist?
Okay, so so my degree is MPhil Linguistics. And so National Book Foundation, if you know of that, NBF has already published 9 of my books. And yes, so NUST University has sponsored 2 of my books. So that makes it around 11 books altogether. So up till now, yeah. So I have.
That is brilliant. It's
Thank you.
truly, truly an honor to make your acquaintance.
Yes,
and do you
thank
feel that being a linguist gives you a certain edge at tackling these problems specifically?
Definitely. I think because you need those kind of requisites that you want to enter into areas where the actual problem persists, until unless you are not that very eagle-eyed person. And only an author or a writer can be that eagle-eyed, because you have that caliber that you need to perceive
You
certain
have to have
problems
both
in.
perspectives.
Yes, perfect. So
Definitely.
yes. So you get different perspectives, like you've said, but you also need to be eagle-eyed about particular things, and you can only be if you are looking for a solution, right? It's more or less a solution to the, philosophical tendencies of a society.
Yes, that
So-
is one aspect that people do not particularly like to divulge in. They stay towards
True.
the novel side of it.
Yes.
Personally, myself, whenever I go to a library, I always go for the novels and the fiction section, which is something that I think has changed. With
Well,
time.
that's also a very good thing, because the imaginative side of your mind, it's actually prompted by the novels. And so these kind of people end up into being better businessmen. They are easily taking chances in life. And so these kind of readers are the ones like yourself.
It's a very optimistic
sitting,
way to put it. Thank you.
that is what the research says as well.
I
So
see.
if you're sitting here, and all of that, bunch of students are not very inquisitive in coming here and sort of giving themselves out in the open and presenting yourself in a live show like yourself. That kind of risk is only possible if you are a reader and of the fiction side.
And how did you begin pursuing reading? Was it a hobby in your childhood, or were you forced into it and then slowly it grew on you with time?
Okay, so so I belong to that informal side of the setup of community where reading is important. But we, like I was just sharing with Dr. Sab as well, that it is very important that we lure people into this rather than forcing them into it. Any habit that is developed by force and compulsion
It does not
tends
stick.
to just simply leave itself, or it flies away. So I generally think that it's better that you find that kind of doorways which are more prompting for you, which are more luring to towards the habit. And so at the age, I'm also going to share a research based knowledge matter with you, and that is that when it comes to primary and secondary students,
Yes.
it's more of a habit.
It is.
So I probably developed it at that age. It was fortunate.
What was the most memorable book for you in your childhood? In
No,
those years?
so there has been a number of books which were really intriguing for me.
That stuck with you.
No, so I wouldn't like to name one book because that would be doing injustice to a lot of other works which were really nice.
It's hard to decide.
Definitely.
That's the
So
biggest
it's
proof
always
that you're
the
an avid book
writer.
reader.
Yes, definitely. So I would, if I would put it in genres, I think Mind Sciences was that one thing that actually dragged me more or less towards the reading sides, and the general intention was set. However, like I was saying, so it is a habit development at the primary and secondary age, but by the second level, at your age or my age, if you haven't developed that reading part in you, then it turns into something that is gained. So
For sure.
it's acquired then.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's a toolkit that needs to be delivered onto students to,
And it's a toolkit that arms you with fluency as well, which is a necessary skill, do you think? To be eloquent and fluent
so
as well?
that goes hands in hand. What happens is that once you are fluent, and then you move towards reading because it's more or less a comfortable zone for you.
Yes.
But once you start reading and become an avid reader, then what you do is that eventually fluency would come to you. So I
comes
think it goes,
naturally.
yes, it comes naturally then. So it goes hands in hand, and I think it's brilliant how it composes itself to be like
And
that.
finally, if I could please bring us to the last question.
Yes,
Beyond the MOU that you signed today, what steps do you think we could take being, university students and as LGU to further reading as more of, like you said, a pursuit as opposed to, something forced?
Okay, so brilliant. I think this question is going to bring us down to the conclusion of this
Yes.
conversation. Why? Because this is probably the last thing that I would like to tap on. And so as I've already suggested and prompted, is that we should move to the modules. So Read Pakistan has also developed the modules as well. What are those modules about? Are basically the instigations that are given to a person when you're in the womb of the mother,
I
since
see.
then till the time that you turn into, say, about 50 years old or 60 years old. And a lot of people do come in at conferences and seminars and do ask us, how is it possible, as in for a person who's 50 years old to become a reader when they haven't really developed the habit? So I think one thing that the universities might just do, it's a suggestion, is that they might just refer to those modules that we have made. Why? Because they're all research
So be
based.
open and flexible to this, definitely not have such a narrow point of
Yes,
view.
and in those modules we have also given why and how you can become an avid reader.
It's a step-by-step guide.
It is. It's actually so
It's
as
a
per age
cultivation
as
of your
well.
career.
Yes, and through age as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute honor having you
Thank
with
you.
us today.